I pay her taxes. I have every right to speak about her in particular within her role. I'm not talking about where she lives, what she looks like, anything like that. Nothing personal. This is purely professional, and this is purely governmental. Can I continue?
Try to keep it professional.
I've already told you what I'm doing, and I'm making that very clear, and I'm not going to change.
Keep it professional.
I have not. I have only kept this professional. You are debating me, and you are violating your own rules. I'm here to talk as a parent. I've got 2 young boys. We live in Glendale, and when they come of age, I am deeply concerned about their educational prospects in this city. I'm also a taxpayer. I pay a lot of taxes in this city, many of which go to this district. And I'm deeply concerned about how that money is being spent, particularly, and I'm going to single out a person at the in the school district named Dr. Kelly King, who's sitting right here to my left. Dr. Kelly King makes over $250,000 a year. Every 4 years, we give her $1 million. We will be paying for her pension for, the duration of her life after she retires. And she's doing things that I completely disagree with, and I think many members of the community would also disagree with. Previous speakers have mentioned the number of Armenians who live in Glendale. How many Armenians would support what she does? Let me discuss what she's doing. In a recent video in 2017, she reflected Glendale Unified policy when she stated, and I'm going to quote, "We have a lot of resistance from male coaches who are horrified at the thought of having a biological girl changing clothes in front of them." Which biological girls are changing clothes in front of coaches in Glendale Unified? That's a question I'm genuinely asking. She continued, "It's not a girl. It's not a girl. It's not a girl. You only have boys in the boys' locker room." She just said it was a biological girl.
May I just stop
I'm
for a
speaking
moment?
now. You're not. No, I'm speaking.
I
This is
will
interrupting my time.
Well, we
Can I
can
pause
pause
this,
the
please?
time. Can you pause the time for a minute? I only want to say that to refrain from personal attacks. So please.
She is a government official. She's a government employee. This is not a personal attack. I pay her salary with my tax dollars.
Again, please talk towards the policies that you
I'm
are
talking about-
against
and
and refrain from personal attacks, and your time will continue. Please go ahead.
In what way have I personally attacked Dr. King? She is acting within her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified. How is that a personal attack? I'm talking about tax dollars being used in a way that I disagree with. I'm going to continue.
Continue talking about the policy that you disagree with.
Dr. King quoted to say that biological girls were changing in front of male coaches. And then, so she knows it's a biological girl, and then proceeded to say it's not a girl 3 times. You know it's a girl. You know it's a girl. Or
Okay,
you know
so
it's a
she's
boy,
an
you know it's a
employee of
boy.
ours, and if you wouldn't mind telling us what policy you dislike.
There is why am I being interrupted for speaking about an official member, a superintendent at Glendale Unified, speaking in an official manner? You cannot interrupt me for that. You have no ability to do that. And furthermore, the rules stated you won't debate. You're debating me right now. Correct? I'm going to continue. In discussing permanent records, she states that she keeps permanent records for a handful of trans students literally next to her in her room. She does not indicate that person's gender identity for fear that the parent might find out. Why is she concealing this from parents? She says, we kind of go out on a limb, and we know that's controversial to some people. Which people? Which parents? Armenian parents? Christian parents? Are those the ones who are being excluded from knowledge on their own children and their own identity in Glendale's Unified School District? And you preach inclusive policies. We can talk about that policy. Yet she's excluding parents.
So
She's
again,
excluding parents. I'm going to continue.
And I might just ask for a pause and ask for information. Maybe I'm mistaken. Can you pause the time for a moment, Mr. Sahakian? Thanks. So I wouldn't mind getting input in terms of is this?
So my understanding, again, is that we are the arbiters of policy. That is our decision. And so our employees are operating based off of our direction and the direction up here at the dais. So it is appropriate to criticize the policy. It is appropriate to question that. It is not appropriate to personally attack and denigrate a specific employee. I do not believe that that is covered under the public comment.
I'm not personally attacking anybody.
Yes, you are, sir.
No, ma'am, I am not. I am not personally attacking her. I disagree with what she said in her role as assistant
So
superintendent.
then you disagree with the policy, so please continue with the disagreement of the policy.
I am disagreeing with her, and this is not, you are debating me right now. You said you would not debate me. Why are you debating me?
So you're using that particular thing inappropriately, the fact that we don't debate. So
I am not attacking her personally. This is under her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified. You are not allowing me to speak freely in a government entity about a government employee. I pay her taxes. I have every right to speak about her in particular within her role. I'm not talking about where she lives, what she looks like, anything like that. Nothing personal. This is purely professional, and this is purely governmental. Can I continue?
Try to keep it professional.
I've already told you what I'm doing, and I'm making that very clear, and I'm not going to change.
Keep it professional.
I have not. I have only kept this professional. You are debating me, and you are violating your own rules.
So, Mr. Sahakian, go ahead and open the time again.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kelly King has worked with Gender Spectrum, an organization which you guys have actually paid money to in several schools. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. She's worked with Gender Spectrum to produce gender support plans. In these gender support plans, she ranks parents whether on how affirming they are on a scale of 0 to 10. Who determines that? Based on what criteria? I'd love to know that policy. She says, if the parent's not affirming, the parent may not be involved in this document. That's the gender support plan. This may be a private conversation. So let's talk personal now, because she is. This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school. Is that adult trusted by the parent? Who is the trusted adult? Define trust, please. This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school and the student about how we keep you safe at home, emotionally and physically. Who's personal? Who's professional? Personally, I'm being professional. What she has done and the policies none of you have spoken out against is a complete deviation from that sacred boundary between government and personal lives and privacy, especially of minors. And we're talking about sexuality, sexual identity, and you're not.
Some of you are saying the librarians should decide who gets to see that book.
I'm saying when individual parents are allowed to make a decision of where that line is, and To Kill a Mockingbird, which involves a rape scene, should that book be pulled from our libraries? I think it becomes a slippery slope.
I think you ought to think about it a little bit more before you come here.
I've thought about
If you're going to propose something, you ought to be able, in 30 seconds, to be able to explain what you're asking us to do. Ms. Kelly, what do you understand? Well, let me skip you for a second. Mr. Cameron, tell me what you're proposing.
It's pronounced mix.
Mix? Is that how would you like me to refer to you?
Senator, your definition of sexual is synonymous with LGBTQ identity.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you to tell me you read those two excerpts.
Genderqueer.
Do you think that, are you asking that only librarians and not parents have any say in whether minors can read those books? Is that what you're saying?
Genderqueer has never been in my school library, so it's never been banned.
Well, suppose it was. Should it be up just to the librarian, or should parents have a say?
There should be facilitation of collaboration between students,
parents
and
have a say?
Parents should be working with students and educators to be making decisions, because students are...
And who decides ultimately? The librarian, or do you take a vote, or who takes the vote?
Book review committees in the community in my school district.
You want a committee to decide?
There are committees.
Okay. Well, I'm asking you, how do we decide whether the two books that I just referenced should be available in the library? What would you, if you were running things, what would you do?
All Boys Aren't Blue, the scene you mentioned, is about sexual abuse.
I know what it's about.
It's not
What
erotic.
would you do in terms of making the books available? Would you say anybody can see them, or they have to be in a special session?
Students who do not read books like All Boys Aren't Blue cannot learn what is appropriate.
I understand that.
They cannot learn
I understand, but none
about
of you want to
abuse.
answer my question. You come here and you say censorship is bad, and of course it's bad. But the obvious response is, okay, you heard the books we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about Catcher in the Rye. So tell me what you want, who gets to decide. And all I've heard is the librarians. And parents have nothing to do with it. And if that's your response, what planet did you just parachute in from?
Parents, Senator.
Or what country, more appropriately? This is not China.
Parents, Senator, for all due respect, parents absolutely have a say. My parents were immigrants, came to this country. We never checked out books without our parents seeing what books we were reading. They encouraged us to read books.
Mr. Secretary, I understand this is good for your politics back home.
It's got nothing to do with my politics. My bill is passed.
Of course it does.
My bill is
It has
passed.
everything to do with your politics.
I'm here to...
But you came here with a problem, and I'm trying to understand the solution, and you don't have one.
We solved the solution.
Other than to tell us that we don't agree with you, we'll be on the wrong side of history.
We solved the problem in Illinois. We fixed it because we
well, there are others you could work on.
Well, that's why I'm here to help.